What's going on, you beautiful badasses? Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we're going over my Fl4k build that revolves around the 150% bonus radiation damage while under 50% health. Now, JoltsDude139 did a video on this build a little while ago, but this is just my version of the build. I've been working on this thing for a while. I don't really have a lot of time in my hands. Also, before we get into the build, stay tuned to the end. Got a couple announcements I need to make. Hey, future me here. So before we get into the video, Gearbox recently buffed several weapons. Among those weapons is the DNA. The DNA is a Mal1 SMG that is dropped from Generaltron, and it's a Mayhem 6 exclusive. The DNA fires all of the elements. That's it. This gun was really weak before, and I'm so happy to see that Gearbox buffed it, and I've included it in the build. Have fun with it. Back to the video. Alright, let's jump into it. So the main focus of this build is the Anointment, where we gain 150% bonus radiation damage while we're under 50% health. We can achieve this by two different ways. One that I completely forgot about, and again, shout out to Jolts Dude, he was the one who showed this off, but the front loader. This shield is perfect for this because it just straight up gives you that effect easily. It reserves 60% of your health and returns it as shield capacity. The other method would be the Deathless artifact, but the front loader is just a better option. Most of the stuff in this build is just stuff that's fun. There's really no theme, but regardless, here we go. The Light Show, a turret and handgun form. This thing pumps out so many bullets that Rambo is even looking at this and he's feeling incredibly stupid for not using it in the first place. Breath of the Dying, accurate name, because when you shoot people and you kill them, they explode into corrosive death. What the Breath of the Dying does is when it kills an enemy, they explode, and then they shoot out corrosive balls that get treated as grenades, and it will basically just destroy anything that it comes into contact with. The gun is really more RNG based when it comes to that, but honestly, when it happens, oh, it is so satisfying. But don't look away from this gun. This gun is actually a lot better than what it sounds. You know, I know the RNG sounds a little touch and go kind of deal. Its damage output is not bad. The plasma coil, we got this on stream, and I will not lie, when I first saw the numbers on this, I legit thought this was bugged. It's an SMG that does 42,231 damage. It just sounds cracked. This gun is extremely cracked. In fact, screw any of the guns in this build. Just use plasma coil in all your options. In fact, get rid of your character and just make him a giant plasma coil. The Hellwalker. Oh, Gearbox gave this gun a good sweet kissing. Oh my god, this gun was already very good before, but they just decided to kiss it on the cheek and gave it a 505% weapon damage. I can't remember the exact amount it was before, but oh, this thing just slaps more than ever. And on top of that, you know, Doom Shotgun. Can't go wrong with that. You got the Tizzy. Like the Light Show, this thing pumps out so many bullets that anything in its path is just gonna die. Pretty much as soon as an enemy sees this, they're gonna have a Tizzy fit themselves. As the Tizzy fires, its fire rate increases from what it looks like, and it just melts your ammo and the enemies like butter. There are ways to get your ammo back, and we'll cover that in a bit. Maggie, this old gal has been around for the longest time. To this day, she still remains the OG badass gun of the mashers. This old gal will treat you right no matter what. You get the King and Queen's Call. They function the exact same. I don't know why they're named differently, but whatever. The cool thing with this build is you can utilize different play styles with it. But what the King and Queen's Call do, they work well with Fade Away. You can't use these guns by themselves, but you're going to get more use out of them by using fade away. When you get a critical hit with these guns, it will return 3 bullets to the mag and then 3 bullets to the nearest enemy. It'll also heal you, but the healing honestly isn't going to be a huge thing, but it's still pretty nifty. The companion. I don't know any companion that's going to ignite me whenever they score a critical hit. This pistol is just so much fun. It was pretty much designed for Fl4k. I mean, obviously any of the characters can use it. Igniting an enemy on a critical hit, that's 100% Fl4k's thing, especially with Megavore. Gearbox recently buffed the companion. Just like the Hellwalker, they gave it a nice sweet mwah kiss on the cheek. So much better than what it was. The Unforgiven. This poor legendary gun, it's had a rough life. It was first a legendary, then it descended to a pearl just to be downgraded back to a legendary. Seriously, Gearbox, give us pearl essence. The Unforgiven was only really used as a damage buff. You just shot any other projectile, mostly a rocket launcher, switch to the Unforgiven, and that projectile then gets the crit damage that the Unforgiven can provide. But with this build, the Unforgiven can be used on its own. It takes a little bit to get going, but when it gets going, it's the most satisfying thing ever to see, especially once you reload, because that reload animation is so nice. The Love Drill, like the companion, questionable name. I don't know any Love Drill thing that's gonna shock me. Oh, actually, never mind on that one. It's like the companion where it has a unique effect. What it does is it has a 20% chance to deal double damage as shock. Just really cool to utilize different elements in a gun with the skills that we're going to mainly using. We're going to be having all the elements practically at our disposal with this, and especially more with this gun. The Blood-Starved Beast. You know a gun's got to be pretty kick-ass, and when its name sounds metal as f. I'm not sure what the count is when the projectile will explode, but every once in a while the projectile will explode, and considering how fast of a fire rate this gun has, it feels like it's going to happen quite a bit. It's a fun gun to fire. It looks nice, sounds nice, and just to see the explosion go off is just something just so divine. The Flubber, the Flooper, the Flipper. As it fires, its projectiles will increase. And the cool thing with this gun, and also like the light show, is every shot will count as a critical hit. And we're using Megavore and Stackbot with this build. So we're basically gonna have a very high amount of DPS. The Flipper though, it's been outclassed thanks to the plasma coil, but the Flipper is still a decent option to use. Obviously it's fun to fire, and you can just hip fire with this thing and you'll be golden. The Monarch. This is more so for players that don't have access to the DLCs. The Monarch is the polar opposite of the Dictator, but the Monarch is 1,000 times better than the Dictator. The Dictator is still good, but the Monarch is so much better because instead of the shots being spread out, shots are then compressed together, so they're much tighter. And instead of just trying to hit a giant target with the Dictator, like your ex that goes to your best friend, we got the Rebound. What this gun does is it fires saw blades that explode. Yep, this is definitely Borderlands gun. The shots will hit enemies that weren't even really near it, or at least that's what it appears to happen, but it melts them fairly quick, and it's just a decent gun still. It's fun to use. The Convergence, a gun that is totally not copying another gun and trying to make it its own identity whatsoever. You know what you're talking about. What the Convergence does is it shots crisscross. If you don't have access to the Krieg DLC, the conference call is not a bad option either. It got buffed recently. The Lob. Splooge gun. What this thing does is it shoots a giant orb that just travels through the air and enemies just die. This thing just does a lot of damage. It's fun to fire. There's just nothing else to say. The Backburner, the big bro splooge gun. The Backburner is similar to the Lob, and its shot travels through the air, but the only difference is when it comes into contact, it shoots out these other damage projectiles that just destroy pretty much anything in its path. It has a bit of a learning curve to it. The Wedding Invitation. I am such a fan of this gun. I really wish they brought it into the Hammerlock DLC because that would have been so fitting for the name. We can't get it anymore unless you have a save file backed up, which I luckily was able to find. But what the wedding invitation does is, like most Jacob's weapons, its shots will ricochet. But the kicker is that the shots will return to the magazine and each shot is explosive. So fun times. We got the Lyuda. Oh, not lie, personally, I never really cared for the Lyuda, but I will not lie. It is a very, very good weapon to use. What it does is as the shots travel from it, those shots will then split into more projectiles and deal full damage. Like the back burner, it has a learning curve to it because you gotta get the right distance for the shots to hit the targets, and that's the only downside if you ask me. The Krakatoa, volcano and a gun. Best way I describe this gun. I don't know how to explain it. It's fun. It murders. It's good. The Nova burner. Nova shields are just cracked right now. They destroy enemies, especially if you get this anointment. On shield break and fill, it will release a Nova damage burst of 5. The other ability we have with this is when damaged, it has 50% chance to drop a booster that restores 8% shields. So when you pick that up with this anointment and with Fl4k, you can spam this constantly. It's a lot of fun. The snowshoe, just like the Nova burner, just really fun to use. It doesn't destroy enemies, but it rather freezes them. And it's still very nice if you're surrounded by a lot of ads and you need to chill them things out. I'm sorry. When you slide into an enemy, the snowshoe drains all shields and deals up to 21,668, depending on the level, of course. Bonus cryo damage based on the current shield strength. It also returns 30% of the Nova damage as health. Again, health isn't necessary, but it's still nice, especially if you can get the action skill start anointment. It's just so nice. The Hunter Seeker. I never thought I'd ever use this grenade, but oh my lord. The Hunter Seeker, specifically when used by our pet, it is insane. What the Hunter Seeker does is as it flies through the air, it will shoot targets. And for whatever reason, if you specifically have the final robot form on the purple tree, something happens where the Hunter Seeker's projectiles just destroy enemies. It's absolutely fun to see. The error interface, nailed it. This thing has no purpose in the build, but I know class mods in the arms race are not very easy for people to find. So for those that love Fl4k, I've included in this build just to, say, hey, here you go. Rack pack. Now, here's the thing. Here's where I say that this build has multiple play styles. With the anointment that we are using, 150% bonus radiation damage while under 50% health. Notice I said bonus radiation damage, not bonus radiation damage to weapons. It's just damage overall. So that's the only explanation I have for your racks being able to deal radiation damage when you use the action skill. That's literally the only explanation I've got. If anyone else has an explanation, please tell me in the comments because I don't understand it. That's the only way I can make sense of it. But because of that, they just melt enemies really quickly. And with Rack Pack, it's just a really fun way to just go an area and then G little rack just rip things apart. It's kind of like watching the movie Birds. Bounty Hunter. Now, Jolt's used this class mod in his build, and it's good. It's definitely not something to shy away from because the reason Bounty Hunter is so good is you can get Barbaric Yop on it. What Barbaric Yop does is it increases the bonus that you get from your pet. So you can use this and pair it with any of the other pets. For the build that we're mostly sticking with, I've been personally playing with the robot. We'll get into that a little bit later. The Bounty Hunter has a 3% chance to activate any of your purchased hunt skills when you deal gun damage. And bosses are now treated as human beasts and robotic for all your hunt skills. It's pretty nifty. Red Fang. Now you can play the Gamma Burst build. I don't have any of the skill points in there, but if you want to mess around with it, knock yourself out. The Red Fang is more just used when you're playing the Guardian Takedown because those stupid crystals, they're just annoying. And this helps a lot when dealing with the crystals because of how long Gamma Burst is and how quickly back you're gonna get your action skill, it's just ideal for it. The cut purse launch pad. This artifact is just insane. Dealing melee damage replenishes ammo, but here's the thing. The launch pad shoots out rockets. For whatever reason, the rockets get treated as melee damage? I ain't complaining. It's very nice to use in a situation, especially with an example, the Tizzy, that just destroys all your ammo. The Deathless, this was the original artifact I had in mind when working on this build, but you can still use the Deathless in some ways because, again, with the Nova Burner and the Snowshoe, you're gonna have to find a way to get your health down below 50%. The Deathless does that. The only downside, of course, is you are at 1% health, but you gain all that back as 100% shield capacity. So it's more used when you're just having fun and you want to maintain the radiation build. It's really good. You can go the Gamma Burst route with this. It's not the best, unfortunately, and it really sucks because I've always dug the style of Gamma Burst. It's just something about it just seems so fun to use, but it's in here. Snowdrift Victory Rush, morally just used just to zip zap zoop zoop around the map. The Pearl Ineffable Knowledge. Now we got 2 in here just because I got one when I was trying to get the love drill and I was like, you know what, let's just include it. Is consecutive hits increase your damage by 1% for up to 15 times. Back stacks, you deal an additional 20% damage. You're basically just going to be pumping out so much damage from this thing. That's all the weapons and gear. We're going to go now into the skill tree. Starting off with the purple tree. This is more so used for your survivability. Although I will not lie, this skill tree kind of needs a buff. Some of these skills are great in their own right, but the ones revolving around the shield, they just, I don't know. It doesn't seem strong. Or who knows? It could also be the fact that shields aren't mayhem. Gearbox, what? Sorry. Some in my throat. For the purple tree, it's Gravity Snare. Now, this could also be used in replacement for Gamma Burst, Red Fang for the Guardian Takedown, but Red Fang is just so much better. But this is still a fun action skill. Gotta go fast, like Sonic the Hedgehog. Your pet gains increased movement speed and damage. It's more so just to move down the tree. Agility training, you and your pet gain increased reload speed. That reload speed is definitely noticeable, especially on guns that have really slow reload speeds. Better toys. You and your pet gain increased shield recharge rate and improved shield charge delay. More so just used obviously for that survivability. Your shield's gonna be pretty much coming back at a much faster rate. Throat Ripper. Your pet's attacks have a chance to score a critical hit, dealing increased damage. Now this combines with Monkey Do, which your pet gains increased critical hit damage. And whenever your pet scores a critical hit, your next shot deals bonus damage based on that weapon's damage. These two together are just deadly. You are gonna have these going off like crazy. It's like monkey see, monkey freaking do. Lethal Force authorized. Your pet, when it goes into fight for its life, it instead turns into XP loader that seeks out an enemy and goes kaboom, and dealing damage to all nearby enemies. The real reason we have this skill is because your pet's respawn time is reduced. Okay, dude, we've already went over it, but it basically just gives your pet critical hit damage, and then you gain damage based on your weapon's damage whenever your pet does so. Fuzzy Math. Whenever you or your pet scores a critical hit, a portion of your shield and your pet's shields are restored. And considering you and your pet are going to be dealing critical hit damage a lot, this skill is just going to be active quite often. Capacitance. Capacitance. That word. Whenever you activate your action skill, you gain increased shield capacity for a short time, and you immediately begin recharging your shields. However, it has like a 16-second cooldown, which isn't terrible, but the effect you get from this thing is just so nice that it just makes the survivability a lot easier. Onto the green tree. Not really mostly a whole lot of things you use here. It was mostly just get down to lick the wounds because your pet will be able to revive you. And considering the survivability with this build, it's very nice to have. But you got Furious Attack. After you shoot an enemy, you gain a stack of this. For each stack of Furious Attack, your weapons gain increased gun damage and handling, and your pet gains increased damage per stack, although these stacks decay slowly. Eager to Impress. Whenever you kill an enemy, your action skill cooldown time is reduced. Whenever your pet kills an enemy, action skill cooldown time is reduced even more, and attacks command cooldown is refreshed. You can pair this, I would say, with the class mod you get from Arms Race, but honestly, it's really not anything, but it's good synergy, I guess. And then obviously, like the wounds, your pet can revive you basically. We got 1 point into the Fast and Furious thanks to our class mod, but Fast and Furious isn't really used at all because you're not above half health. And then finally, the orange tree. We got Interplanetary Stalker. Whenever you kill an enemy, you gain a stack of Interplanetary Stalker. For each stack of it, you and your pet gaining a bonus to all damage dealt. Leave no trace. Whenever you score a critical hit, there is a chance for 1 ammo to be added to your magazine. You're going to be hitting critical hits quite often, so have fun. Hunter's Eye. We've only got 1 point in here thanks to our class mod, but you gain bonus critical damage against humans, armor damage against robots, and you gain damage reductions from beasts. Head counts. You really only need 1 point in here. I know they fixed it recently, but with how often you can be scoring a critical hit, it's kind of not necessary. Whenever you score a critical hit, there's a chance your action skill cooldown is reduced. Considering we're going to be hitting critical hits quite often, 1 point honestly is more than enough to get your action skills back. Ambush Predator. While you have no enemies nearby, your weapon handling and critical damage are increased. This is more used when we're using either fadeaway or gamma burst with Red Fang, because the enemies are not going to be value really thanks to that extraction ability from Red Fang, and that you're going to be invisible. But you can use snipers with this. It's nice to have. Two-Fan, you get a chance to fire an extra projectile per shot. With the guns that we have that have like a lot of fire rate, this is going to be going off like crazy. Big game. Your hunter's kill skills have a much effective and longer duration. Galactic Shadow. You deal increased critical hit damage and enemies are less likely to attack you. Considering you're going to be doing critical hits non-stop, this goes really great, and it can probably even synergize well with Ambush Predator. Grim Harvest. You gain increased gem damage and action skill damage. Now this heal ties in with the whole thing I was talking about where I said rack attack gains the radiation damage from the anointment we are using. With that combined with this skill, it just shreds through enemies. Like I said, it's like watching the movie Birds. It's just insane. I had a lot of fun. Megavore. Honestly, I don't know any flak build that does not use this skill. It's so good, it's impossible to not use. You gain a chance to score a critical hit with weapons against any part of enemies. Again, multi-fire projectile weaponry. This is going to be going off like crazy. All right, I'll head to an area and I'll show off the build. Talk to you guys when I get there. All right, we're over here in Electric City. Just gonna run around and there's some enemies. And look at that. That first attack, that was just rack attack. Let's see, no baby. And just keep on going. Just rack attack non-stop. The plasma coil is just so nuts. Oh my god, this gun is just amazing in so many ways. The other great thing about this build, and I forgot to mention it in the beginning, it doesn't matter about elements. You can use a fire against a robot and it'll still kill him. It's just insane. It's so much fun. I don't think I could ever get away from this type of build. And the cool other good thing is that the other characters can use it. I mean, Mose is the original player for it, but Zane can use it, Amara can use it. I'm working on a build for Zane with the same anointment. So expect that in the near future. Now let's head over to Kilovolts.
All right, we got Kilovolt. Let's just pop right in and wreck his face. Oh my god. Plasma coil. Oh, you're beautiful. This build is beautiful. I'm so proud of this build. Oh. Well, he disappeared. Oh, there he is. Oh, the pet just kills him. All right, good job, pet. You deserve some loving. Oh, it's so cute. What we got? Hippity hoppiter. Hippity hoppity. Oh yeah. Before I head out, little announcements. So I don't get a whole lot of time to edit videos due to personal stuff and work. And on top of that, the last video I did where we showed off the Amara build for Spiritual Driver being revived. I was not aware at the time that the anointments that I used on my shields and my grenades, that they were not legit. As far as I was aware, they were legit. I swear I've seen those before. Obviously, I must have been mistaken. So I want to apologize for anyone that saw that video. I have updated it to where the anointments are now correct and what they are legit. Hopefully the build still stands. I heard that the spiritual driver got recently nerfed more. Well, that'll be it for the video. If you guys enjoy the build, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're new around here, like and subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one. And as always, stay badass.